Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm Dr. Shuzlina. In this video, I will demo to you on how to create a simple model using Excel. Okay, you are given the selling price file in .csv. Okay, these are the questions to be answered. Alright, so I copy the questions in the Excel sheet, make it easy for us to refer. Okay, I maximize the Excel file, and for this I will create another column, right? Insert a new column next to the house size and label it as mean, as max, average, and standard deviation. So how do you find the mean and max on all these features? We can make use the mean function in Excel. Mark the cell that you want to evaluate. Okay, this is the mean for the house size. For the rest of the variables, you can simply drag the function to the right columns, and then you can get the mean of the rest of the variables. How about mean? Same thing, you just change the function to max. Okay, mark the area, close bracket, and this is the max for the house size. Same goes to the other variables. You can simply drag the mouse. Average, use the average function. Okay, and then mark the cell, enter, and this is the average values. How about standard deviation? So in Excel, there are many functions of standard deviation. We choose the most common one, which is this one, standard deviation. Mark the area, and this is the values of the standard deviation for the house size. To the rest of the variables, you can simply drag the mouse to the right columns. Okay, so what does the standard deviation tells us? Okay, so in statistic, okay, the standard deviation shows the dispersion of a set values, right? So a low standard deviation like this in the bedrooms variables indicates that the values tend to be close to the mean or our average over here. But if you have a very high standard deviation like here in lot size, it shows that the values are spread out over a wider range. All right, this is what you can see in the lot size values. Okay, done for the first part. Right, we mark or bold it to make it difference, Command B. The next one is to create a scatter plot for house size versus selling price and bedrooms versus selling price. So here I will only show you the house size and selling price. You can do the next one on your own. So to make it easier, I will copy the variables to another sheet. Okay, also the selling price variables. Okay, and these will be used to create our scatter plot. So what is scatter plot? So scatter plot is also known as a scatter chart or scatter graph. So here in this Excel, we can make use the functions, alright, insert graph, and this is scatter. So there are many versions of scatter. Alright, as shown here, we choose the most basic form, which is the scatter with markers, okay, with dot markers. So I maximize the size, okay, and this is our scatter plot. So you can also change the layout by using the quick layout over here. There are many features. Okay, let's see, I choose this one. Then I will label the X title accordingly, and this is the X title and this is Y title. Since our Y is the selling price, okay, so this is selling price is our Y, okay, label it as selling price, and this one is our house size. Okay, so I remove this one. This is not meaningful to me. Alright, so now is the scatter plot. So it shows the relationships, alright, between these two variables. Okay, the numeric variables over here. We want to observe, okay, what are the patterns that may exist in these samples. Okay, so if you look at this, okay, it's not only report the values of an individual points, but also patterns as a whole, right? So that's scatter plot. So if you want to maximize the area of the scatter plot over here, you can change the boundary of the axis. Right, let's say I change the axis options, the boundary, the mean boundary for the house size to 1500. Okay, and then you can see the changes over here. I would like to change also the selling price values. Okay, if you look at this area, this is not so this is empty space, so we want to maximize the area. Alright, so let's say I make it the minimum bound as 100,000. Okay, this is scatter plot. Next is to apply regression. How do you apply regression in Excel? So in Excel, there is a feature called trend line. So you can mark, okay, you can mark your samples. Right hand click, add trend line. So once you click the add trend line, you can see, okay, by default it has a tick or check the linear options or the linear trend line. So this linear is meant for the regressions. Okay, we have linear regression, okay, means involve only one independent factors or one independent variables. Okay, I forgot to mention to you, the house size here acts as our independent variables, and the selling price acts as our dependent variable for our y. Okay, since this is our x value. Okay, double click, maximize the space so that we can see the area better. Alright, so double click over here. Okay, so now I bring it over here because it blocks my view. Okay, now let's say this is the house size and the selling price as our target. Okay, dependent variable is also known as the target. And this regression line, okay, act as a predictive modeling technique, okay, that estimates the relationships between two or more variables, and in this case this is linear regression. We just consider two variables, house size and selling price. Okay, alright, how do we predict the new data? Okay, how to apply the formula to predict the new data? So how do we get the formula? Alright, if you click at the trend line, you will notice that there are other features. Okay, the equation on chart, we can display the equation on chart. Alright, this is the equation. Okay, bring it over here, maximize the size. Okay, so this is the equation. This is our model. Okay, now our model is represented by this equation of y equal to 23 plus something x plus 149678. Okay, this is very similar to the linear regression. If you remember the lines formula of y equal to mx plus c, right? This it is. So, and beside these features, we also have another features, okay, another values called r square. Okay, r square value on chart. So it shows, once I check the features, it should over here. Okay, let us analyze this this line. Okay, what can you observe? If this is a positive correlation or negative correlation? All right. So since the lines, okay, is upwards towards to the right, right? This is classified as a positive relationships. And if your lines is downward towards the right or like this, it is a negative relationships. We may also have a no relationships if it is a straight line. Right. So now, what is R square? So R square is another statistical measure that represents the proportions of the variance of our dependent variables here, that's explained by an independent variable. Okay, so if the correlation explains the strength, okay, of the relationships between an independent and dependent variables, the R square, okay, the R square here explains to what extent the variance of one variable explains the variance of the second variable. So if the R square of a model is, let's say, is 0.5 or 50%, then we can say approximately, okay, half of the observed variation can be explained by the model's input. So this is the model's input. So our R square here is 0.109. So it is not so much explained by the input of this house size. So this is not a best fit. That's what we can conclude. So the R square is always positive and it runs from 0 to 1, or you can translate into percentage form. So how do we apply the formula to predict the new data? Okay, in Excel there are several ways. Okay, the simplest one, you can simply add the value, the new value of x into this formula. Okay, you replace the new value of x into this formula to get the y. Alright, there's another way where you can also make use of this forecast, okay, where you extend the linear regression line forward or backward. So you can change, let's see, I extend to the right forward, to another value, make it another 500. Okay, so you can see the line is extended to the right, and another 500 to the back. Alright, so you can see the line is extended to over here. So if you have new value of x, you can simply point, okay, let's say my x now is 2500 over here, so it will give the value of y is somewhere here. Alright, so that's the basic way and to utilize the basic features in Excel to produce a model, what we call here in a linear regression model. Okay, that's all I hope you can do for the second one, which is the bedroom and selling price, and then you can compare the value of R square between the two and see which is a better model. Alright, with that, thank you, bye bye, assalamualaikum.